week's price action was very good and very on support. So this is me doing a market review of what actually happened this week. So for every time price or for every time you come to the chart as a trader, so one of the very good things you want to do is to mark your levels, consider structure, and then mark liquidity. So your levels, then structure, then liquidity. So for example, we can consider structure in this scenario. You would see this is our last low at this point. Then we had this high, and then we had this retracement. So far so good. We don't know if there's going to be a break above this high or if there's going to be a break below this low. So on the weekly time frame, we're internal. Okay, so that's structure has been done and dusted. So and then you look at the levels. What levels do you have? So we already established that this is all internal structure. So it means that when we go to the daily, we would likely find this internal weekly structure to be an external daily structure. So the levels we have, again, the line charts. So on the line chart you have this classic over here, which you probably envisage that price will come to. So that classic scenario will be there, you mark it. And then at the same time you have this HNS, very beautiful HNS level. So from here you mark the HNS level at the same time. So let's say we have that, and then you have this gap level here where you know price may or may not come to, right? So that level, perfect. So these are the closest levels to where price is at the moment. So at the same time, if for liquidity's sake, you can consider the last weekly high. So the previous week's high, this high is the previous week's high, and there's no need to mark the previous week's low because the previous week's low is not in our purview of what we are currently considering given this internal structure. So for me, I like to also check the daily structure or the daily time frame. So in the daily time frame, I can see that this is also now some sort of equilibrium. So that offers some sort of equilibrium. So that gives more confidence to what I'm marking. And then I can see there's also equilibrium here with the daily time frame. I usually would not consider fresh and unfresh. So at this point, this level has been tapped, but it doesn't take away the fact that it can be used again. Okay, so 2 days. I remember we're still, and the lower we go, we have a proper appraisal of what structure is actually saying. So what's the structure like? What's the idea behind what we're seeing? So you can see when we drop to the 2 days, we are already getting some form of enlightenment. So currently on the 2 days, this is what the structure looks like exactly. So what here we have this, we have this, then we have this. So that means we have this, then we have this retracement over here, then we have this, and then we have this. So on the 2 days, this is a breakout over here, so this could just be a retracement to the downside, so we could push up to the upside, but you never know, right? So that's what you see on the 2 days. So that again gives you a perspective, or puts you in perspective of what you should expect for the coming week. So at the same time, you can see there is a engulfing by a 2-day engulfing by that just formed, and just within that area, this HNS that we marked continues to be an equilibrium level. So to the daily, very beautiful daily level again. Our equilibrium still stands, but what we can see if we consider daily structured, so let me take away the weekly structure gone, let me take away the 2-day structure gone. So let's see what's the structure like currently, because structure helps, right? So I'm going to start marking from here. So we have this, we have this. So everything that was external on the weekly now becomes internal, or sorry, everything that was internal on the weekly now becomes external on the daily. Then we have this break over here, and then we have a single leg to take this guy out. So in this scenario, if you are a fan of liquidity, you probably say, oh, the high has been taken, the low has been taken, price came here to become efficient, right? And then it is a true breakup structure. Okay, so this could be, oh, just a retracement for price to keep buying, but at the same time, you know, this are valid by other blocks, so valid by areas that price can actually pick up buys from on the long run. Okay, so on the daily charts, we still have a weekly level giving equilibrium vibes. This level we marked from the weekly, the HNS is also still giving equilibrium vibes. So generally, we know we have a very strong level to actually consider for this trades. So at the same time, we have this over here. That's a weekly engulfing sell, a daily engulfing sell level, right? And it's important to us because that engulfing sell level actually took out some sort of internal ring liquidity within this point. So we can at this moment say if this is going to be a break of structure to the downside or this is going to be a continuation to the upside. But what we can say for sure is we want to find out if price or if we'll be able to pick a sell trade from this particular level. Okay, so can we pick a sell trade from here? Is this worthy enough to be a sell? As you can see, this is just all internal. This single leg down is all internal. We don't know what's going to happen next, right? At this moment, we don't know if price is going to decide to come lower to this point, then pick up buy to the upside. What we know is this is our last low, and then this is the last high. Okay, so change time frames. So when you change time frames, what are the things you're looking out for? You're looking out for time frame conference. You want all the time frames to be able to give you an idea of what they want to do. And as you see, the more we change time frames, the more our weekly HNS level gain grounds for equilibrium pricing. So that's saying something very important, something to actually pay attention to. Okay, so in this scenario, we keep dropping down, trying to see. Okay, this is also giving the same vibe. So what else can we see here? You can see as we drop lower, we are getting some HNS. So this is HNS here. So I'm going to mark that HNS level. So I'm going to go back to H16 to see. Okay, not a much. So now H12. Remember, when you're flipping through time frames, you're literally just paying attention to the slightest things. You just want to pay attention to what's important. So again, we have that gap level or a gap zone or an hidden engulfing, whichever one you choose to call it. Now on the bigger scale, this was the daily EG that we marked initially. So I'm going to make this darker so it makes more sense as to what we're looking for. Okay, and then this is the new EG that I just marked on the H12. So keep going lower. Okay. So nothing spectacular, nothing different so far. 6, and then we have 6. So on 6 we can see nothing much, nothing spectacular. So then H4. Now it's getting interesting, right? A lot of things are happening, right? So now when you look at H4, one of the things you will notice is this is an EFG. There's an EFG here. So just look more closely. You see at this point, this two candle is an engulfing sell, right? You wanted to sell, right? And fast forward to that, you have a retracement which almost looked like was going to overthrow this guy, but eventually failed. And then we have our engulfing sell happened, and this is still H4. We get 2-time break of structure. So first break, we have second break. In fact, you can see 3-time break. And not just at that again gives us perspective to how far price could actually go. And from what we trade, you can consider this to be some sort of a failed type 2 structure. So you can expect price at some point, at some decent point, to probably come back here and then sell. But at the same time, you can see we have a classic scenario here. This classic scenario, it's a beautiful one to actually look out for. You can see we have our zones intact, and you see this level is still within this guy. What determines if we'll pick a trade there or not would be equilibrium, would be good price, and so I would like to go higher to find out if there's equilibrium. Alright, there seems to be some sort of MTF, so I'm just going to draw this. Then I need to go to H8 to see. Okay, there's equilibrium on H8, then H9. Okay, H9 just MTF, no equilibrium, so I'm just going to mark that area. Okay, then H12. Because nothing on H4, so I go back to H3. We've seen H4 already, right? So this is what H3 looks like at the moment. This is our H9 level, this is our H4 and H8 level. So we just keep going to see at what point would price actually decide to use what it wants to use. Okay, so looking at H1, so we're on H1 currently. You can see structurally this is what we have. So if I pick up structure from here, we have this is all this, then we have this leg, we have this one, then price breaks just about that level. I would like to extend a little, to the upside. So let's say this, then we have this. There's an MSU here, John, don't mind me. Then we have this, and that MSU is very, very important, but this, then this, then this, then we have this, then we have this. Now the idea is that when price retraces to such an MSU as this, like what we call type 2 structure, the idea is you expect price to actually go higher and create a new high. But in this scenario that failed, you only got a cheeky retracement, and that cheeky retracement is what we have here. So only this is a retracement because we eventually broke. And so our first touch on that retracement happened here, right? After we broke, first touch on this failed type 2 structure happened here. So we have that first touch, and then we have a breakout already, all of which is internal on the H1. But the whole interesting thing is, for most part, it's always good to pick your trades from areas where you have valid trading zones or valid trading areas. So since we are majorly intraday traders, you don't want to miss this kind of trade. So what do? You look for price behavior and price delivery. All right, so drop down to this moment, you can see that this low has been taken, then this high can be liquidity at this point, and then on the extreme, our H3 and H9 levels can be a valid zone to actually think of, and at the same time you would not miss out the fact that this is an HNS level. So if you want to pick an entry at this point, you remember, what else do you have that can be a pointer to why you should pick a sell here and not here where we were originally looking out for? You see this is an EFG setup just right here, 3 candle type EFG setup, right? And then if we proceed to go lower, the whole idea of the trade now starts to make a lot more sense. Okay, so let's see this beautiful stuff here. This is M15, and as you can see on M15, this is all still internal. And one of the very foremost rules I have as a trader is to never trade internal structure unless there's a true breakout structure. So is there a true breakout structure? We'll find out. So you see price takes the high over here, then takes the low, then you have an inducement, a true breakout structure, a retracement, and a trend is established, right? So on the establishment of the trend, you now have your full zone. So remember, if we're going to pick this sell, we did draw this level, this zone, and then we had this HNS from M30. So for me, I would pick from the HNS on M30. I just have to give room to price, so I'll put my stop just above that level. Why am I doing this? Because I have validated the sell entry. So if anywhere is going to be my target, it has to be the external M15 structure. So it has to be this low will be my first target. Okay, so this low will be the first target. So you can target this low as you want, and you see how we are playing by logic, asking questions. But at the same time, whatever happens, what we can say is we know there is a sell zone within this up state. But before price can come to this sell zone, price has to respect this field type 2 structure first, and then on that respect is the reason why we are playing this. And you can see from multiple time frames, oh shit, price from multiple time frames, we are able to establish what price is going to do exactly. So price comes, taps into that level, and then drives down, just crazy drop. So at this point, you're new, it's probably happened very fast during Asia, so you're coming to the trade in the morning. What do you do again? You go back to the high time frame. The high time frame is where you want to make decisions of what to do and what not to do. So in the high time frame, you've been able to establish that, oh okay, we have a sell trend in play, and at the same time you have a buy zone here. So your buy zone, you want to establish your zone. If you don't have a zone, it is very difficult to be able to pick a trade. The zone is what tells you where to put your stop loss and also helps you with your environment. So in this scenario, you've gotten a breakout on H4. Then what do you do again? For me, usually I just keep going higher. So the higher you go, the more you're able to tell what price is going to do. So you know for sure this is an engulfing sell over here as an inducement, and then there's a breakout. So maybe, just maybe, we can get a retracement from this gap level to the upside and then pick sell continuations. We don't know that for sure, but we're just believing whatever price does, we want to be able to be there to partake in anything that happens. So back to H4. All right, so I've marked the levels, the H4 zone, the H4 breakout level. So I'd like to watch this on H4 and just be slow. Okay, so H4 has a tap on that gap level and then came back into our sell zone. So in this scenario, based on what you've been expecting, what would you do? So the best thing to do at this time is to sell again, right? You want to sell again, you want to sell again. So if you're selling here, again, you want to ask yourself, why would you pick such a sell? So back to H4. You can see on H4, this is an EFG, right? This candle is like an engulfing buy, right, up to this point, and then get valuated by this. So that's an EFG, so I'll pick it, I'll mark this. So I'm trying to ask myself questions. Is this a valid place to actually trade from? Price is there. So back to H6. On H6, I can see it's a classic SNR level here. So I have a classic SNR level. There are two things that helps me validate SNR levels. The MTF is their equilibrium. You can see on H8 there's equilibrium, on H9 there's equilibrium, on H12 there's equilibrium. Oh my god. On H16 there's equilibrium. On H18 let's see daily. Okay, nothing on the daily. So let's go back to H4 and then we'll work our way down. So usually I go up first and then we'll come down. So on all the higher time frames, we've been able to establish that this zone is a likely sell zone, right? So I'm going to mark it just for proper refinement. So permit me to like darken the color a little bit so I'm able to see exactly what we're looking at. Okay, on H2, so we've been able to establish that, oh, okay, this level is a wide level. It's a level where we'll probably want to pick a trade from. Right, but the question is, part of our rules is if there's no inducement, there's no trade. So from the first trade, you see there was inducement. We had inducement of the high, and to consider inducement, you're looking for three things. You're either looking for inducement within the zone you are trading from, inducement before the zone you are trading from, or inducement after the zone you are trading from. Three things. No inducement, no trade. That's a rule. Okay, so for you to find inducement to make a trade worthy of your your time, okay, you have to either look for inducement within that zone, or look for inducement before the zone, or inducement after price has tapped the zone. Okay, so in this scenario, there's no inducement before the zone. So the question is there inducement within the zone? Is the zone a POI? Is it level that has an MSU? That's what I mean by within the zone. So in this scenario, you see price take the low over here, price induce the high. So this is a true break of structure. So we're coming back here internally. This is our last high before the main high. So yeah, if price comes back to this level, let me go. I don't want to go below M15 so we don't sleep here. So let's just see what happens from here. Okay, so price comes into that level. So what do I want to do? I wanted to go to M5 before, so now let's go to M5. Okay, so on M5 we have, let's assume we have fear of getting into this trade immediately from that level because, oh, price has been buying. Maybe the buy momentum is so scary. Of course, this is just like a build up, right? It's like a build up move. Then you can see there's a rush move to the upside, showing sign of some sort of AMD, right? There's accumulation, this is some sort of manipulation. So if you can get distribution, so we'll look for price behavior, price delivery. So price behavior is MSU before the zone, which is what we have here. So if price should break this and drop, you would probably pick a trade. Or if you get price delivery, which is MSU after the zone, you also consider that to be a very, very good one. So you see, just because we were waiting for MSU, that again saved us from taking a direct entry from that level. So again, our price delivery or price behavior has shifted because we have MSU here, so the high taking here, the low taking here. You're looking for true break of structure at this point. Okay, so if price breaks here successfully, then you're able to pick your confirmed trade. Okay, so now overall, this tells us that this high has now become inducement liquidity, which is very, very important. This one, inducement liquidity, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, if we go back to H1, let's see H1 structure. This is the low, this is the high. So if price has decided to take the low, take the high, and somehow come back to this zone that we drew earlier, where we said, oh, okay, there's a chance that price would come back here. You know, we said that earlier. But for immediate pullback, price will retrace from here first. So that now verifies that, oh, okay, this zone is in play right now. We've been waiting for it all along, and then price eventually comes into it. And then what does that tell you again? That tells us that, see, this level that we're marking for equilibrium multiple times, you see why we couldn't enter. We couldn't enter because we weren't sure. I wasn't sure, right? So I waited, I went to M5. So you can go to M5 or lower just to get price behavior, price delivery. But at this point where this inducement has been established, Now I can say for sure that, oh, okay, we have inducement, proper inducement. So I look for price behavior, look for price delivery. So we get price behavior complete, right? The low has been taken, the high taken. This is a true break of structure to the downside. So I can say for sure that whatever retracement I have back into the zone, as an example, let's say if I even get the least one into this guy, I might actually start to think about sell. So for me to be sure, I like to pick refinements from higher time frames. So I would like to refine my zone. So I go higher first for that refinement. Okay, so I'm able to see this. So what do? I set my entry here and I put my stop here, and what will be my target? Because overall for this day, we're looking at something bearish. So this H1 structure will be my first target. Okay, so let's see if we're able to get that in play. Okay, I think I'm lower, so let's go back to M15. So in M15, price didn't probably come back to our target, but we're able to find something interesting. This is a very good zone to have gotten an entry from. In fact, I could have refined my level or my SL to that level. Okay, so the next play is to either wait for this to be broken, or if you're a risk taker, you can actually pick up a sell continuation from here, because this is continuous MSU. We're on M15 already. You can see price took the low over here. There's an inducement here. This is a true break of structure. If price should probably come back to this zone somewhere around here, you can probably pick sell continuation. Okay, so price comes back, waiting, then taps us in, right, and then start to sell. Okay, not bad, just waiting for the sell to get along. Okay, that was crazy sell, and then our buy level now got tapped. So the question is this buy valid enough? Now, of all the things that is important, it's important to also note that playing by the rules is what makes a system a system. So if we say we're trading a system, we're trying to combine these things together. There are rules that keeps us out of bad trades. So trading is not just being able to figure out if this is a good setup, if that's not a good setup, if I should take this trade or not. Sometimes you have to figure out, oh, okay, I don't have everything aligned yet. There's no need to rush. The market is always available for me all year round. I can always come back and make the same profit. So our buy level gets triggered. So you're worried, okay, is this a buy you want to take? You've marked the zone for a long time. Again, just like we marked earlier, where we had multiple equilibriums, right? So you marked the zone for a long time, so you want to check again. So on H12, you're able to pull up, oh, okay, that this guy over here has an MTF, right? This is the weekly HNS level. This is our MTF level, just close to that area. So I'm going to mark that MTF level. And why am I checking higher time frames all the time? Because I believe strong SNR levels will give off MTF and equilibrium. If those levels don't hold, there's likely a tinge of a liquidity level that price wants to induce, just like you saw here, right? This had a lot of equilibrium, but why did this level not hold? Because in SNR, you can not actually say this level did not hold, because price closed below it. You can see that line chart, price closed below it. So in SNR, we'll say this level held, right? The equilibrium held. But the reason why price would take us out if you had a straight entry from here is if you're not considering the higher time frame liquidity zone. Price has taken the low here, comes back to take the high to tap this gap level so that it can make a run. So let me mark that gap level so that becomes express. Okay, so makes more sense now. All right, so let's go H16. H16 kind of like have this MTF also, so I'm gonna mark it. So as that MTF, then H18. So nothing on H18. I need to be able to mark a decent zone. So okay, so I'm able to mark this as my zone, because a zone is what tells me where to pick a trade and where not to pick a trade. All right, and H9 looks as though this is a retracement back to this upside. So at that point, I can drop to H4 and decide, will I be picking this buy or not? So let me go to M30, for example. So the higher time frame has showed that there was a retracement. So let's just pick that up. So the question is, if price is going to retrace, where is price going to retrace to? And as a trader, what do you do? What's your concern? So your major concern is when you have an MSU before a breakout, you consider your MSU zone, even though it has failed, to be one of the likely places price is going to probably retrace to. So in this scenario, you see at this point, price has taken the low here, kind of like took the high over here, and then gave a true break of structure. So you can probably expect that this MSU zone, so I'm going to mark from here to here, is probably where you get retracement to. And then when price comes to this level, if you're not sure if you should pick a trade or not, what do you do? Again, this is a level we marked from H9, so let's kind of like look for equilibrium or MTF for that level. So we set this, okay, we set that also kind of like as equilibrium on MTF. Okay, we set this breakout on H3, kind of like what we're looking for. So back to M30. So if price comes to that level and you're not sure, again, you just do the routine thing. You go higher or go lower, rather. You look for price behavior and then look for price delivery. So price has done its thing. So let's just go in hindsight to see what happened actually. So price came, tapped that level. Oh, I'm not sure what to do. So what do? I go lower. What am I looking for? I'm looking for price behavior. I'm looking for price delivery. All right. So price came into the zone just like we saw earlier because of whatever happened. And is there any price behavior? Not really. The last MSU before the zone was this MSU, okay? And this was price taking the high, the low over here, and then this true break of structure. And that's why when price came back here, you could pick a buy to the upside. But is there price delivery? Yes, price delivery. The low was taken here, the high was taken here, and you have a break of structure. Okay, so this becomes inducement liquidity. So when price came back to this classic scenario, this would be your trade. So this is the build up again, accumulation, this is the manipulation, and that's your entry. Okay, that's how it works. So you're just patient because you know you will definitely get a trade. So for example, if you're able to be, if you're patient enough, you'll be able to get into this trade. This high is protected, and then this low would be your target. Okay, just patience works a lot of things, right? Patience, you're logical, you're keeping your emotions on check, and at the same time you would have been able to take this buy, and you'd have been able to know that this is going to be your liquidity, right? Because this is what I teach. This is how liquidity works. Okay, so price came back to our level again, and then we're back to the higher time frame. The higher time frame tells all the story. You see, whenever we go to the lower time frame, we are looking for specific things. Every time you see me go to M5, I'm looking for specific things. I'm looking for price behavior, looking for price delivery. I'm not trying to go to M5 to look for no trade or something. I only go to lower time frames to look for entries, confirmations, right? Conference, right? Okay, because if a sell is going to happen on the higher time frame so big, you start to see the footprint on the lower time frame, and that's most reasons, or that's the more reason rather why we go to the higher time frame. All right, so price, let's see, price taps this level. This is a level that has multiple equilibrium zone and blah blah blah. So go to H1 and trying to look for entry to see, oh, what is going to happen. And then on H1, remember what we said, that when we are looking for a level, you look for three things, right? Is there inducement within the zone? Is there inducement before the zone? Or is there inducement after the zone? Sometimes the best ones are when you have all the theory in play, right? That's the best one. So this scenario now, look at this. Price takes the high over here. It's a beautiful one, guys. A very beautiful one, right? The high was taken there, the low was taken, and then you have a true break of structure. So again, this in the interim was inducement for this buy to the upside, and now you have price coming into this shadow guy. Okay, so immediately that happens, you're still on H1, right? But you know price has tapped a major zone that has liquidity, but you're probably too scared to pick it. So let's say you pick this buy, original buy from here, your stop has to be below this low, and then you waited for 2-time break. So you see first break, second break. But if you follow me, you will know for sure that this is not a buy you want to take until we break this external structure, right? That's not a buy you want to take, except there is true break of structure. Okay, so what are the things you consider in this scenario? In this scenario, you know this is an Eden engulfing over here, so you're waiting patiently for what price is likely going to do. So what do you do first? You go higher to refine before you go lower. So on the higher time frame, you can see that what we have here is just a bit of joke, nothing much. So until there is nothing on the higher time, oh sorry, this one is already showing us, so we'll go lower then. So M30, is there price behavior, is there price delivery? Nothing actually, nothing to suggest that there's inducement before or after the zone. So just wait. Okay, so let me check M5 just for the culture. So M5, this is a beautiful sell here. See the low, take the high through break of structure, price retraces back, pick sell. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And then this came back to be a break. Okay, so now you see that this MSU that built up the momentum for this sell has been broken. So again, this can be one of your telltale sign that price is actually going to continue to the upside. All right, so again, you're not sure. Let's say you're not sure, you're just playing around, because to be honest, I also wasn't sure. I was in a buy from somewhere around here, but at this point I wasn't sure if price was going to keep going down to buy from somewhere here or just buy straight from here. So we just wait. When you're not sure, it's not a crime not to be sure about a trade. It's not a crime, right? You're putting your money on the table, so if you're going to do that, you should be able to tell with some low level of doubt before you put your money on the table. All right, so this video is getting too long, so let's play. Okay, so you have a break over there first. So immediately after this break, you have a breakout, right? And then without any reasonable doubt, you can pick a buy continuation. Now, where would you pick that buy continuation from? Again, go higher to refine. So you go to the higher time frame. You can see this is a broken HNS level just over here. That's a broken HNS. Let me show you on the line chart. You see, so you have the shoulder, you have the apex. Price was supposed to come here and sell, but what happened? We broke, and then price is coming back. And one of the things I tell my guys is broken and scenarios, they are the most underrated things on it. So check again. You see on H2, this is a trick, but I think I've said it in one of my videos. I'm not going to say it again. So that's H2, and then that gives us that. So the other thing you can look for, like I said earlier, when you have a failed MSU from a previous zone, as long as it's still within that zone, that MSU area is still valid as where you can pick for a zone. And if you're familiar with what I showed, you know this type 2 structure. So this would be your entry, and I think this is the exact entry I took on, I think on Wednesday, right? So this entry, and then where would the target be? As a rule, you never pick targets lower than M15, so I prefer to pick my target from H1 time frame. So why and what determines your targets? Number one, your target depends on the overall structure. What's the overall structure like? That's number one. Number two, where are you buying from? Where is price reacting from? Wherever price is reacting from is going to determine how far you want your target, or you think your target can go. So you can see this level we are reacting from is I time frame level. So my first target for sure will be this I, right? That's my first target, right? And then ultimately you can hold a pound, and then that flips to the high side, and then price just continue to the upside. You can see I'm trying to rush this at this point. So again, we keep getting a trend idea. And for a trend, you know, there has to be mitigation, proper mitigation, and transfer of money. So from here, money was transferred to this low. You can see the high was taken, the low was taken, price reacted from this and then broke. Okay, so this gives a breakout. So on the retracement back into this type 2 structure, what do? You buy, my friends. You buy. Okay, so what else? When was this? Okay, this was towards the end of the day, and let's see, blah 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 to the upside. Okay, so how far did price go? Price eventually came to the weekly high. So let's go back to the weekly time frame where we started from. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, what have we achieved so far? So far so good. We can see beyond all reasonable doubt, see our weekly level where we started the buy from, and then to another weekly level. Okay, so weekly would go to weekly. Okay, so started from a weekly level and we go to the weekly level. So I hope this video makes some sense, and I think I'll take questions from here. Any questions, guys?